Playoff committee will do it wrong, so we're here to do it right. Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert here with our final GE Top 25 of the year. Why the final one, you may ask? Well, because at this time next week, we'll know who's in the college football playoff. We'll know who's going to be playing for a national championship or have the chance to. We'll know who's going to be in the New Year's Six Bowl games. We'll know all of the bowl matchups. So this is our last set of top 25 rankings before Selection Sunday. Of course, we'll be breaking down playoff scenarios later this week. We'll break it down for you early Sunday morning before the selection show. But when it comes down to a full list of top 25, this is the last one of the year. Truly is hard to believe. But we've got a lot of shakeups, so let's not delay it any further. Let's go ahead and dive in to our top 25. Of course, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below, including that holiday special over on thegridironexpert.com. Don't go miss out on that. It's our Christmas gift, our holiday gift to you, so go check it out. But let's take a look at our top 25, starting in this first column, the top 10, which of course is where I think the majority of the focus is going to be for the next week. It's about who's going to get into the college football playoff. Well, for us, we have one minor shakeup in the top 4, and that is where we once again have switched to the number 1 team. Look, Michigan and Georgia for me have flip-flopped all year long, but I have been adamant that I do believe that Michigan is the best team in the country. I believe they are the most complete team in the country, and that was shown to me on Saturday. I was way more impressed with Michigan's win over then number 2 Ohio State than I was with Georgia, a 24-point favorite, barely getting by their rival in Georgia Tech, 31-23. I was way more impressed with Michigan, who, with an interim head coach, has defeated 2 top 10 teams in the last 3 weeks. That, to me, is very, very impressive and shows how good of a team this Michigan is. Blocking out the noise, doing it with an interim coach, taking down their rival for the 3rd year in a row, a rival that, in that game was really the first college football playoff game of the year. Michigan, to me, was very, very impressive in that. They were bullying Ohio State at the line of scrimmage. They were pounding the rock. Their defense was phenomenal. Once again, despite how high-octane Ohio State's offense has been, held into 24 points, and Michigan has not allowed over 24 points all year long. So give me Michigan right now as the number 1 team. Bottom line, again, if you're upset about that, don't worry about it. Get over it because, again, Michigan and Georgia, if they take care of business in their conference championship games, they're not going to play each other until the national championship, assuming they can get there. So the only reason 1 and 2 matters is it's a matter of who they play in their semifinal game, but they don't have to worry about facing each other as long as they take care of business. So Michigan at 1, Georgia at 2, Washington, Florida State, Oregon all remain unchanged, 3 through 5. Washington remaining 3rd, despite their lackluster performance against Washington State, barely surviving the Cougars 24-21. Again, it's going to work itself out. Washington and Oregon play each other this Friday in the Pac-12 championship game. So the winner of that is going to the college football playoff. If Washington wins, they're undefeated, they're going. If Oregon wins, they're the Pac-12 champs with a 3-point last-second loss to Washington, who they'll get revenge over. They're getting in. They'll just really replace Washington there. So the winner of the Pac-12 is going to the playoff. Doesn't really matter where they're ranked right now. It's going to take care of business when that time comes. We still have Washington at 3, obviously, because they still own the head-to-head for the time being. Florida State survived Florida 24-15 without Jordan Travis. Very slow, sluggish game. We're down 12-0. Then outscored the Gators 24-3 from there on out. So it's an impressive defensive performance from the Seminoles, and way to go for Tate Roadmaker and Mike Norvell-led team to get the job done in a hostile environment with their backs against the wall, knowing if they lost, their playoff hopes were done. For now, their playoff hopes stay alive. If they can beat Louisville in the ACC championship, they should get in. You can't look at Florida State and go, oh, they're not going to be as good without Jordan Travis. You can't say that. You got to say, look, they're an undefeated ACC champion who we've had in the top 4 really since this whole thing began. No way we're keeping them out. So Florida State, if you win, you should be in. They remain at number 4. Oregon, we mentioned, is 5. Texas, Alabama moving up a spot because of the losses ahead of them. Texas up to number 6. Alabama up to number 7. Alabama surviving Auburn in one of the wildest Iron Bowls we've ever seen. The 4th and goal from the 31. They score a touchdown. Truly unbelievable. Truly what college football is all about. But they remain at number 7 and keep their playoff hopes alive. And we're not going to get too deep into it now, but there is a very chaotic path for Alabama to get into the college football playoff. You can't help but wonder, what happens if Alabama beats Georgia? Obviously, do you put Alabama in there over Texas, possibly, even though Texas beat Alabama back in week 2 in Tuscaloosa? So if Texas wins the Big 12 and Alabama wins the SEC, can you put Alabama into the Final Four over Texas? Will Georgia really drop out of the top 4 with a lone, narrow loss to the Crimson Tide? There's a very chaotic path here, and it's a possibility that the committee is going to have very difficult decisions come Selection Sunday. We'll be breaking those down here in the coming days, but watch out for this conference championship week, guys. It could really create chaos. The easiest way for the committee to get off scot-free is for these 4 teams here to just win. If those 4 teams that are all undefeated win their championship games, Selection Sunday is not going to be stressful at all. But if just one of them, well, we know Washington or Oregon's going to lose. Washington loses, not that stressful. But if Florida State loses, if Washington loses along with them, if Georgia somehow gets upset against Alabama, all hell breaks loose. So get ready for some fun. Texas, Alabama, as we mentioned, Ohio State moves down a couple spots. Remember, we had them at 6. We said if they wanted to be in the top 4, they had to prove it to us. They did not, so they dropped 2 spots to number 8, plain and simple. Missouri at 9, Penn State at 10. Really, Missouri through LSU, they all move up 1 spot. Why? A couple of those teams moved up for Ohio State's loss. All those other teams moved up because of Louisville's loss to Kentucky. So really there's not much to talk about them. Missouri annihilates Arkansas, and they moved up a spot because Louisville lost. Penn State up a spot following their shutout over Michigan State. Oklahoma up a spot with a big win over TCU where they dropped 69 points in their final Big 12 games. How about that? Very nice, Oklahoma. Very nice. Arizona up a spot with the win over Arizona State, 59-23. Ole Miss up a spot following their win in the Egg Bowl, 17-7. And LSU up a spot with the win over Texas A&M, 42-30. Pulled away late. A&M gave them all they could handle in Death Valley. Tigers found a way to survive. So that is 9 through 14, all moving up a little bit in the rankings here. Really, a handful of these teams probably stopping here at Penn State, going to be in the mix for a New Year's Six Bowl game, which is very, very exciting for them. Speaking of New Year's Six Bowl games, Tulane. They're in the running for another one. The Green Wave are 11-1. They're hosting the American Championship. We've got them up to number 15, rising 2 spots following their win over a good UTSA team where Tulane rushed for over 225 yards and forced 5 turnovers against the Roadrunners. Dominant defensive performance, dominant day on the ground. That's a sign of a good football team. If Tulane beats SMU, they're going back to a New Year's Six Bowl game. Plain and simple. That's awesome. If they lose to SMU, that's where things get interesting. It really will be interesting to see if the committee puts SMU into their next set of rankings. Will they do that and create some chaos and intrigue in the American Championship game? If they don't, Tulane loses to SMU and Liberty beats New Mexico State. Could we see an undefeated Liberty team, who we have at number 20, slide in to a New Year's Six Bowl berth? So definitely something to watch out for this weekend, guys. The New Year's Six bowl race for the group of 5 teams is not wrapped up quite yet. It will be if Tulane wins. If they don't, things get very interesting. But for right now, we expect Tulane to be that team. For us, they're top 15 ahead of Louisville, who lost at home to Kentucky 38-31. Big time upset in the Governor's Cup. Notre Dame up 2 spots following their blowout out west against Stanford. Oklahoma at number 18 following their thrilling double overtime victory over BYU that sent the Cowboys to the Big 12 championship game. They were down 24-6, battled back, went to double overtime, forced a fumble in double overtime, won the game, and they will now face Texas in the Big 12 championship game. That is not going to be an easy game for the Longhorns. The Cowboys been wildly inconsistent this year. Ollie Gordon's the real deal. This defense is getting a little bit better. Maybe, depends. It'll be a fun one, though. Oklahoma State is not a cakewalk for the Longhorns. And if the Cowboys can win that game, also create some chaos in the college football playoff race and would obviously ruin Texas' slim hope and possible hope of getting in to that Final Four. So something to watch out for on Saturday morning. Iowa up to number 19 following their thrilling win over Nebraska. An unbelievable game on Friday, 13-10. Hit the under. The lowest over-under was at 25.5. That's what it was set at, and it hit 23. Hit the under. Unbelievable. Iowa, Nebraska. A handful of interceptions thrown in the final few minutes, but it was Iowa's interception with about a minute left that sealed the deal. They kicked the game-winning field goal to prevent Nebraska from going to a bowl game in year 1 under Matt Rule. Everybody thought this could be the year he gets them there. Fell short in his first year, hopefully next year for the Cornhusker fans in Lincoln who are just continuing to suffer. And I genuinely feel for you. Liberty, we mentioned them. They're number 20 following their win over UTEP. They'll be in the Conference USA Championship game against New Mexico State. That'll be a really, really fun game on Friday night. Stay tuned for that one. Huge for Liberty. If they win, they keep their hopes alive for a New Year's Six Bowl berth. Liberty, you get the benefit of knowing what you got to do. You beat New Mexico State. You just sit back and watch, and you become diehard SMU fans. So really interesting to watch out for with Jamie Chadwell and the Flames. Final 5 here, NC State and Clemson into our top 25. NC State finishing the year 9-3. Everybody kind of wrote them off in the preseason, including myself. I didn't see NC State winning 9 games this year, maybe a shot at 10. Incredible coaching job done by Dave Doeren. Incredible coaching job on Saturday, beating North Carolina 39-20. Clemson, who lost to NC State earlier in the year, so they are obviously behind the Wolfpack. In at number 22, they beat South Carolina 16-7. Revenge over the Gamecocks from last year, and now prevents Shane Beamer's squad from going to a bowl game. Kansas remains in our top 25 at 23. They were ranked 24th in our rankings last week. We kept them in. Many asked why. We broke that down for you. Go watch last week's video. We don't like to repeat ourselves really. Kansas, though, remaining at number 23 with their big-time win on the road against Cincinnati, 49-16, 8-4 for the Jayhawks this year. What a year for them under Lance Leipold. Toledo up to one spot after winning over Central Michigan. They're in the MAC championship game against Miami, Ohio. Keep in mind, Toledo's a team that maybe has a slim outside shot of making a New Year's Six bowl game. If Liberty were to lose, if Tulane were to lose, maybe you can make an argument for Toledo, although I think it might go to SMU in that point. But guys, the Rockets have won 11 straight games. They lost their season opener to Illinois, have not lost since. So if they can beat Miami, Ohio in the MAC championship game, watch out. This is a very, very good and efficient team. Really, really like Toledo. We have them in at number 24, right ahead of SMU. The committee might not rank them. We will. The Mustangs are 10-2, finish undefeated in conference play. Only 2 losses to TCU and Oklahoma earlier in the year. Lashley's got this team rolling, guys. The offense is unbelievable. The defense has been getting better. Definitely has not been as bad as it's been in years past. The Mustangs playing great ball and should be a great matchup between Tulane's defense and SMU's offense on Saturday in New Orleans. So there you go, guys. Our final GE Top 25 of the year. This is what it looks like. Leave your comments, leave your rankings down in the description below, and let's get ready for Conference Championship Week. This is the final big week of the year, guys. This is where we figure it out. This is where we determine who is making the college football playoff. We've been talking about the playoff all year long. The road to the playoff began back in August. It's finally coming to a close now. Who wins their respective championships? Who makes the Final Four? Leave your thoughts in your comments below. And, of course, we'll have you covered with predictions for every single conference championship game right here on the Gridiron Expert starting tomorrow. So do not miss out on that. But in the meantime, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below, including those expert picks, including that holiday special where you will receive every pick against the spread for every remaining college football game this year. That's every conference championship game and every bowl game. And it also includes every NFL playoff game for just $34.99. So every single one of those game guys for just $34.99. No other site is offering those picks for that low of a price, and no other site can guarantee a winning record with those picks like we have done, as we are hitting over 60% of our bets this year and have hit over 60% of our postseason bets each of the last 5 years. So go sign up, become a member of our holiday special, become a member of our GE Nation. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.